Good afternoon and welcome to Varese. This is day 3. We're hoping to have a good race today. We had a fantastic race yesterday, really close. First 3 across the line were Sebastian, Max and Roman from the Czech Republic. Although that wasn't the final result, it was very close, but unfortunately they were a little low over the finish line and there were some time penalties applied. So the finishing order with all of the results: in 6th place was Sebastian Carver, 5th was Roma Mercek, 4th Giorgio Galetto from Italy, 3rd Christophe Rouche from France, followed by Christophe Abadé in 2nd place, and the surprise to everybody was Max Serres from France winning his first ever Grand Prix race. Absolutely fantastic for him. He was delighted last night and still bouncing up and down all day today, so that's really good news. Today we're going to have a quick look around. Behind me, Monte Rosa just in the clouds. You can see over the lake a few puffy clouds. Just 1/8 over the flatlands and then back over towards the mountains. We've got a bit more cumulus. Weather today, we're expecting 2,000 meters with maybe 1 to 2 octaves of cloud. Thermal strengths up to about 2.5 meters, so not a bad day. Again, another 250 kilometer task. We're going to have a wander down the grid. It's very quiet today. It's a Monday here, and we haven't got quite so many people on the airfield, and the pilots seem to be very relaxed. They're not here quite as early as we would have hoped, so we're missing out on Werner from Austria. We'll come back and see if we can find him a bit later. But Roman Mercek, who was up in the leading gaggle yesterday, he's here, and we'll see if we can have a quick chat with Roman. Roman, have you got time for us?
Yeah,
You're looking very relaxed.
Don't think so. You
No?
think so?
You look relaxed.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. How was yesterday?
Yesterday was okay, but we only make a little bit mistake on final glide that we were arrived too low, but I hope that today we can make bigger buffer for better situation.
Was that first day nerves, little lack of preparation, or was it just how it happened?
Oh, sorry? No,
So being too low, did you not?
it was like this, that I was observed the altitude on LX 9000 that there was any problem. I don't know what, but I set a different altitude before takeoff, so there was a small problem.
So today you all set it a little higher.
Yeah.
This 100-meter finish line height, is it okay for you?
I think that in this situation like Calcinat Airport, it's impossible make it different, and it doesn't matter if you make it 50 or 200, because it was not problem with final glide, but it was the problem in pilot which operate with computers. So we have a lot of altitude. We go all the time to 120, so there was not problem with altitude or something like this. There was only problem with pilot and operate with instruments.
Well, it was a very exciting race for us to watch yesterday, and congratulations on 5th place and a haul of points. That's good news, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Okay, see who else we've got on the grid here. Rasmus, you have a couple of moments for us?
Yeah, of course.
So, first race in the final, and you come away with a point. Well done.
Yeah, that's not bad, is it?
No, very
I'm
good.
excited. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, better than 0 points. You know, it's so disappointing to, fly a good task and get 0 points. So I'm really happy about this 1 point.
This is one of the key differences in this style of racing, is the first 9 pilots get points and everybody else gets 0.
Yeah. So it's a different way of flying, because it's normally when you're flying normal competitions, then you just have to compete the task every day. But here you can compete and fly pretty fast, but you still get no points. So you have to be, you have to be really fast. You have to be in front each day.
Did you know where you were on the race course?
Yeah. I think I was like in front of the last group and trying to reach the first one, but they were flying too fast, so I couldn't get them. I was always getting below them when they were on the top of the thermals.
So what will you do differently today that you didn't do yesterday?
Well, I looked a little bit at the logs from yesterday, and what it did was actually all right. They just got the thermals a little bit better, so I just need to do the same thing as I'm doing, just a little bit better. Yeah.
Well done and good luck today.
Thanks.
And hopefully more than 1 point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Good. Right, okay, let's see who else we can find on the grid down here. Giorgio had a good flight yesterday. He's strapped in, so he can't run away. Tug's just firing up behind us. They'll be starting launching soon. See how we're doing for time. You're right, it is a game. Well, it was very interesting watching you flying along the ridges yesterday, trying to get the best out of the spines of the ridges and not climbing so much.
Yesterday I forgot the mountains. I didn't fly many ridges. I fly always over the top of the mountains to have a good climb. And today is another day, we will see. Good is that we have the first cumulus, and the cumulus helps us a lot.
And hopefully we'll have better tracking today, so we'll see more of you.
Okay, thank you.
Best of luck for today. Right, let's see who else we've got down here. Zidislav, I've never met yet. I've got his gliders here. He's not in it. I know he doesn't speak a great deal of English, so we'll try and catch up with him another time. We've got Ricky Brigladori's glider here, and Ricky's absent. You can normally see him because he's the one on the telephone waving his other arm around. Let's see who else we got down here. Uli Schwenk. Let's go and have a quick chat with Uli. He's strapped in. Uli's from Germany. Been taking part in the Sailplane Grand Prix since it started. So I hope you can still hear us over the noise of the tug behind. Uli, sorry, do you have a minute?
Of course I have a moment.
There are two eyes in there. It's good. So tell us what you're doing.
I prepare my logger, my second logger, because it's better to have a second. Maybe the first will fail, so it's nice to have a second.
So you're putting the task in the second logger as well?
Yes, maybe this system does not work. I can look on this that I find the turn points correctly.
And how was your day yesterday?
Oh, terrible. I suddenly could not follow the first gaggle, and I didn't realize what's going on with me. If there was something with my concentration or something like that. So suddenly the mistakes starts, and at the end I was proud to finish the task because I never give up.
No, we've seen that. You were trying very hard. That was good. It was good. And really noisy. Bear with us a second. It's big and noisy, and I think it converts a lot of fuel into noise. This one. So today, another day, a clean start. What do you hope for today?
It will be a clean start, and this is the best of the Grand Prix. You have every day a great chance to give your best and to collect points. And I try to do this.
Well, the best of luck today. The weather looks really good. You've got clouds on the mountains. That'll help.
Better than yesterday.
Great. Have a great day. Right. Who else can we have a chat to? We've got another empty cockpit over here. We really want to get Sebastian, although he's always late to the grid. We will catch him this week. He's a little bit shy, and he didn't have such a good day yesterday, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want me to ask him any awkward questions, but we will try and catch up with him. What we ought to do is, I've got Christophe Rouge down here, I think. We can have a quick chat with him. He did very well yesterday, 3rd place. Let's see if we can go and interrupt him. Flying a JS1, Foxtrot Charlie from the French team. Christophe, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're good. The weather today, what do you think?
It's looking good. The forecast was for blue therms, but we already have some good clouds, so it should be okay.
Will you be flying as a team again today?
It's very difficult to fly as a team when everybody's on the same frequency, but we'll see. Yeah, the aim is to be in the leading gaggle, so we'll try to do our best.
Sounds like Eric, your coach, has been giving you some good tips.
Yeah, he's always giving some good tips. Yeah.
Well, wish you the best of luck today.
All right.
The weather does look great, so I look forward to a good race.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you, Sean.
Right, who's we got? Thilo we spoke to yesterday. He looks a little bit busy. Let's see if we can get a bit further down the grid here. Are we doing all right for time? Yeah, it's good. Freddie's nodding at me. He's been great. We're just changing the tracking system today, and hopefully we'll have better information for you when we're doing our commentary. Kai, we haven't spoken to Kai so far. Hello, Eric. Kai, you got a moment for us?
Yes, of course. I'm almost ready.
Almost ready. What are you doing?
I'm preparing my glider because my result from yesterday cannot be me. Must be the glider.
Must be always the glider.
Of course. No, I was too careful yesterday.
So you were too careful yesterday. Very cautious.
Yes, I thought the thermal is at its end in the evening, and I took everything I could, and it was the wrong decision.
So what will you do differently today?
Not sure about strategical decisions, but maybe I try to stay a little bit closer to the others than yesterday. I try my very best. It's not my way of flying, but I try.
Yeah, you have a reputation of being very independent and doing your own thing.
I try to stop it. Okay.
Perhaps if I were to coach you, I would say stay with the main gaggles for the first.
I give you my phone number, and sometimes while flying, you can remember me, Kai. What are you doing?
Well, maybe we'll get a radio and say, stick with the bunch, Kai, stick with the bunch, and then make your break at the end.
At the end of what? Of the...
If you stay with the leading gaggle, and then the last leg, maybe.
Yeah, I try it, and if I can make it with a gaggle, I think the last 20k decides who will win, like yesterday. Yeah. And I can imagine this is a funny way of flying.
It's unusual for us because we do fly in a different style. The Grand Prix is very different.
Yeah, I fly. I look from my own way, and they are all good here. It doesn't make sense to try something different. They have already the best way. Yeah.
And the weather today?
The weather? I think it's better than the forecast told us. Many cumulus already, and I think it'll become a nice day.
Fantastic. Well, have a safe flight, and we hope to see you in the first half a dozen. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Right. How are we doing for time? Are we all right? Give us a nod. Yeah, he's giving us a nod. That's good. Good news. Just have a quick look here. Christophe. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Ça va? Oui?
Oui. Yeah. That's the extent of my French.
Yes.
Yes. Unless I've had too much to drink, then I can speak fluently.
Yes?
Yes.
Me too in English.
So, not a bad day yesterday.
Yes, a good day yesterday.
Yeah. Good day for the French.
Yes.
Yeah. Same again today?
It will be great.
It
It
will
will be
be-
great.
Yeah.
If we fly like yesterday, I think the result will maybe we will not be the three first, but we will be good because we made no mistake, and it was good.
Yeah, very good. Well, you can't do better than first, second, and third, can you?
No. I can be first, but
You could be first. You
in
could be
the
first.
points it will be good.
Yeah. And we got Benji here. He's. We need to get a picture of Benji. He's hiding behind the canopy. He's just setting up the yellow brick, which is the new tracking system we've got for today. We've got two antennas. One is the Iridium transmitter, and the other one is the GPS transmitter, and that sends the data once a minute, all the different 5-second bursts, and that is buffered by 2 or 3 minutes, and that's how we pump that into Silent Wings and show you the really nice smooth images you get. Right, we've probably just about run out of time, so we'll call it quits there, and we'll talk to you soon live from the race. Cheers. and good afternoon, and welcome to the World Sailplane Grand Prix here in Varese in northern Italy. A beautiful town on the banks of Lake Varese. A truly stunning venue for the 6th Sailplane Grand Prix. We are to the northwest of Milan, just down the road, 40 kilometers away. We've got all the gliders launched now, and we're just looking at the first climb. Sorry about that, back with you. Competitors now climb on the hill behind the club, Campo de Fiori, Field of the Flowers, just getting ready for the start. We're due to start at 2:10 local time, and we're 5 minutes delayed, so about 1:15 your time. As I say, all the competitors are launched, and we'll look at the task for today. It's 250 kilometres, and it's on one of these bits of paper in front of me. Total distance 250 kilometres. We start over the airfield and head east, and our first turn point is Lavera. So following a very similar route to yesterday, 100 kilometres to the first turn, and what we'll just do is just change to a picture of the sorry, too many things going on here. Can we change to a picture of the task, and we'll walk through it? Can we change to a picture of the task, and we'll work through it? Okay, so here we go. So start is on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, and the first turn point is on the far right of your screen, and this is Lavera. As I said, it's a very similar route to yesterday, just another 10 kilometres or so further on from Monterezzo. From there they turn back west and come back almost to the gliding club here, just short of the airspace, where they turn again and head back east, just a short leg of 24 kilometres to a turn point called Erba, which I understand means grass. And from there they turn back towards the airfields, through the checkpoint at the hospital, and then back onto the airfield. Maximum start height today, 1,500 metres. And we can probably go back to a view of them climbing, see how they're doing. And we'll talk you down from the 10 minutes. The weather today, pretty much like yesterday actually. Around 2,000 metres we're expecting cloud base. A little bit more cloud than yesterday. We could certainly see quite a lot of puffy Q when we were out on the airfield when they were launching. Expected thermals today somewhere between 1.5 and 2 metres. Occasionally we might get 2.5 metres as they go further east and the day warms up a little. The winds a little bit less than yesterday. We had a northwesterly flow that was quite strong at altitude, that was disrupting some of the thermals on the ridges. But today the locals are telling me that with the thermals on the top of the mountains and the slack pressure gradient, what we should see is a southerly drift going up the sides of the mountains. So we may see more ridge running today. Certainly the local pilots, Giorgio Galetto and Ricky Brigliadori yesterday tried very hard to run the ridges, and it just didn't work. Also in there was Thomas Gosner, who actually, I think he got the lowest of all. So our start time just coming up to 9 minutes. The area they're climbing in, they're now up to 1,700 metres, 200 metres or so above the maximum start height, and they'll use that height to get to the start line. On the picture you can see in front of you, the start line is the green box middle right of your screen. The red line in the middle of it is actually the finish line, and you've got the track lines now on the screen. You can see going off to the left is the direction of the first turn point. So the guys just sticking together, all around the 1800 meter mark. Climb rates 1 to 2 meters. We've got new labels today, which is great. The guys from Silent Wings have been working all evening, sorting out a few little bug fixes, making it look a little bit better. And we've been very busy on the airfield as well. Yellow Brick have sent us the right antennas. They arrived this morning at 10:30, and the boys have been busy on the airfield fitting those into all of the gliders. So hopefully we'll be able to track all the way through the race today. The reason for the 5-minute time delay is really just in case we lose a data burst. The data burst from the Yellow Bricks happen every minute, and if they can't send a data burst of 20 positions, a position every 5 seconds, in that 1 minute, they wait another minute and send it again. So we've worked out that 5 minutes works out best, give us the best picture. We'll just ask Benji see if he can put up the altitudes as we count down to just over 7 minutes. Yesterday's race, for those of you who weren't able to join us, we followed as much as we could with the tracking we had. Just going for find the results. We had a very close finish with Romain Merchek, Sébastien Carva and Max Sayers from France crossing the line so close together that actually the guys on the ground couldn't tell who'd won. But that actually wasn't the end of the story. When they looked at the traces, it turned out that there were a few height penalties needed to be applied. They needed to be 100 metres above the ground here at the airfield where the finish line is. And sorry, I'm just being distracted here. 100 metres above the airfield, and they were a little below. They dropped below that height on the way in to the finish, so they've had time penalties applied. So 6th place ended up Sébastien, an uncharacteristic error from Sébastien really. Romain Merchek, having done so well during the day, again got a height penalty and was pushed back down to 5th place. Giorgio Galetto, I believe, crossed the line in 4th, but without any penalties. And 3rd place, Christophe Rouche. 2nd place, Christophe Abadet from France. And Max Sayers, the youngest competitor here. First time at a Grand Prix final. I don't think anybody told him how hard it actually is to win one of these races. But fantastic result for France. I have to say, Eric Napoleon, the French coach, has been here, and it's almost impossible to wipe the smile off his face today. So just coming down to 5 minutes, all the competitors getting ready. Yesterday we saw them come off the top of the mountain here. It's Compete Fury. Around 3 minutes to go. Altitudes are not quite so good today as they were yesterday. Just see if Benji can put up the list again. See who's at the top of the pile. Great. René Vidal from Chile is the highest at the moment, followed by Thomas Gosner and Romain Merchek. So they're all in a pretty good position, trying to climb and get as high as they possibly can. And as far as we know, the race time is definitely on for 10 past 2 or quarter past 2 as we're watching it. They'll need as much of that altitude as they can to run into the start. We expect them just to clip the edge of the line and then come back into the mountains. Whilst we can see some cumulus outside over the flatlands, we're expecting them to get better climbs over the hills. During the day today, we'll have Brian popping in to give us his latest insights on what's going on, and Giorgio, our race director, who's a local pilot, knows the mountains very well, and is teaching me to pronounce all of the mountain names, and he's given me a whole pile of new ones today, which all seem quite difficult, so we'll see how we get on with that. It wouldn't be the same as if I got them all right all the time, would it? Anyway, so back to the race. Christophe Rouche is top of the stack. They're all around the 1600, 1650 metre mark. not climbing particularly well. There's two groups forming, as we can see. And this area is Campo de Fiori, the local hotspots here behind the clubhouse. Our view is actually looking southeast here. On the right-hand side of the screen is Lake Varese and the start line and the club. Have to say it is one of the most staggeringly beautiful places I've ever been to. They call it the land of the green and blue, and it really is fantastic. If you ever get the chance to come here, the club has got the most amazing history, and we're actually broadcasting from one of the museum rooms surrounded by an archive. It is quite something to see. Anyway, 2 minutes 30 seconds odd to go, and we're just waiting for the first person to twitch and head towards the start line. Benji's just queuing up another view. In fact, we could just switch to it now and we can see them. So we're looking from the centre of the start line back towards Campo de Fiori, looking north, and we'll expect to see them stop climbing shortly and head towards the start line. Always assuming the start is still on time. We'd hope that somebody would come and tell us if it isn't. We suspect there may be a delay because quite a few of the competitors haven't actually got to the 1500 metre mark, where the organisers here have been quite keen to make sure that they do that, to get everybody for a fair start. But as soon as we've got any news, we'll let you know. But at the moment, we're counting down 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. Brian's on his way back in, and bear with me a second. Yep. Brian's starting his lunch, actually, by the look of it. He's quite happy. He's got everything about to start. Benji, if we can have the overhead shots now, that'll give us an indication of people running into the start. Yeah, and we can now start to see the fleet racing towards the line. They've got just over a minute to get there. The first person we can see is Didier, but he's very, very low, 1170 metres, 1200 metres now. Maybe we've got a little bit of a data problem there. The rest of the competitors, 1500 metres, just streaming off the hill. 44 seconds to go. Timing their run, they're using computers inside their gliders that will give them time to burn to the start line. They have to be under 1500 metres, and the other requirement at the start line is there's a maximum speed of 170 kilometres an hour, or 90 knots for those of you like me who think in plumbers units. So they're all heading now down towards the line. Didier out in front, 1100 metres. Riccardo Brigladori, 1500 metres. He's timed that well. And Kai Lindberg is very low, 1300 metres. Not quite sure where Christophe Abadé is off to. On the right-hand side, middle of your screen. As the others all head south now. It looks like Didier is going to be first through the line. The gate's open. He's the first there. The others will follow through, and we're expecting Didier to turn hard left and get back onto the mountains. Mind you, they've done nothing we thought they were going to do the last couple of days, so we'll see what happens. So Didier first through the line. We're all checking here to make sure that we've put the start line in the right place. Heads in hands, maybe. No. Everybody's saying it's in the right place. Anyway, so they're off. The first leg is 100 kilometres. Yesterday they stopped about 6 or 7 times down the first leg in a similar direction. We're expecting them to maybe turn into Mont Saint George. Anyway, they're off on the... We think they've all gone through the start line. Brian thinks it's the angle was wrong on the image. Yeah, we'll worry about that when we have the debrief later. Anyway, all the runners and riders are off. Brian, what can you tell us?
It's nice out there, Sean. We've got cumulus, small cumulus to the east and on track. The wind is a very light northwesterly wind. We've got nice sunshine, well, all over this area. We've got a slight worry about some cloud to the east. Over the top of the hills to the east, we've got what we believe to be convection cloud forming. So there should be some lift and some energy under that. The worry is that that will spread out a little bit and make it more difficult over the mountains there. But right now we're on track. The guys are through the start line, they're on the way, and they're not getting as high as the forecast originally suggested. So it's going to be pretty interesting first part of the race. As we can see, some of the tail enders there are only 1,200 meters, and they take off 250 for the ground here, and that's only 1,000 meters or 3,000 feet. So it's going to be quite interesting because, as you can see on the images, the countryside is quite built up. The fields are small. It's not easy to find good landing areas, and so as you get lower, you get a little bit nervous. But I'm quite sure they'll find a good climb when they get to the clouds and they'll be away.
It certainly looks like they're confounding convention, and they're actually going towards the flatlands and not turning left towards the mountains.
Yeah, it's difficult to know what's going through their minds, but I'm pretty sure that's because we have cumulus over the flat ground and no cumulus over the mountains. And they're not high enough to go straight into the mountains. Also, they have to go around the control zone at Lugano. And Lugano Airport has a controlled airspace which they can't go through. So if they turn too much back on the mountains and they don't climb, they get stuck. So I think the tactics here, or the strategy for these guys, is to move out over the flatlands, climb under the clouds, and then they'll come back onto the hills a little bit further down when they're towards Como. And then I think we'll see them coming back onto the mountains where there'll be some cumulus. Makes it a very interesting race because they have to solve the problem of the transition between the start, the flatlands, and then the flatlands back into the hills. And it's a question of getting high enough to be able to do that. We can see Didier's not very high at all now. He's down at 900 meters or so. But we'll see if they climb here.
Yeah, we're just changing the view to see if we can get a bit more of a sideways view. See the relative altitudes between these guys. Certainly not heading towards the hills, are they? They're out in the flat parts, flat area around here. Are they just starting to turn left now? So maybe they are just heading around the bottom of the airspace there. The mountain on the left-hand side, where actually the second turn point is, that you can see there, is Mont Saint-Georges. It's possible they may turn even further left to there, or head a bit further on and go to a place called Bisbino.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're. I'm surprised. I'm surprised they haven't climbed yet. It's certainly quite a risky tactic to start getting down to the height the guys at the bottom are. 700-800 meters above sea level is not very high around here. We can see that the top guys are still up at more than 1,300 meters. So even at that height, it's not that comfortable. But we hope and we can anticipate that in the next few moments they'll stop to climb up.
Didier has actually just stopped to climb. He seems to be the first to turn. Kai Lindberg also down at 600 meters. And Tom Claffey, 750 meters, all seem to be stopping to turn. And indeed, the group above have started to turn as well. And we're just starting to change the view so we can give you a side picture of the top group climbing. That's better. Tracking certainly seems to be working a bit better today.
Yeah, courtesy. Well, it's only a question of money, Sean. We were using FLARM tracking system yesterday, which was made here locally by some really clever guys. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of issues with it, and it meant we had a lot of breaks. We've now got satellite trackers on board, or trackers which pass the information back by satellite. Of course, this is much more expensive, but it's working absolutely fine at the moment. So we keep our fingers crossed that we keep all the pilots and we can see everybody in the race. And we can see now they're beginning to climb up. What will happen now? Maybe they'll go a bit north into the hills, but maybe they'll just carry on in the flat grounds. There's cumulus there. They might feel more comfortable running with the cumulus.
Just looking at the altitudes of the different pilots and seeing who's climbing. Peter Panic, not quite sure if he's in our picture, but at 1,500 meters, he's the top of the stack. These guys now have had enough of that thermal and starting to leave, and indeed the guys below as well are all now pushing on. Wonder where they'll be heading to next. I guess Bisbino is the most likely route, which is at the very near Como, actually, the town where the big political meeting was going on yesterday, and we had a whole pile of airspace around there, and we weren't able to go to this mountain. Talking to Giorgio earlier, Bisbino was definitely one of the spots where we would expect them to climb. In fact, you can see Bisbino. It's actually to the left of the lake, on the left-hand side of the picture there.
Yeah, they're still all together. Tom isn't very high at all, but he seems to be a bit of a specialist at the moment in staying low. And he's got company down there. He's got Kai and he's got Lawrence with him. So I'm sure that between them they'll find some good climb. The interesting thing is that when they did stop to climb, they climbed really well. They climbed quickly back up to 1,500 meters, and we can see that the guys who climbed to the top first, they were on the way again, and I think that they'll all come back up now to a sensible height and they'll start to run. Will they run onto the hills? Well, that remains to be seen. But I'm pretty sure that they'll start to head a little bit more north and connect with the mountains and try to get up to more than 1,500 meters, 2,000 meters, and then they can start to run along the top.
Yeah, they certainly seem to have stopped in a good climb here. Thomas Gostner was climbing at 3 meters per second. We've now got Giorgio Galletto climbing at 5 meters. We'll wait for that all to settle down. So it looks like on average a good 3 meter climb, 6 knots for those in the UK. Yeah, looking good actually. Nice and strong climb. All pretty close together. The only person who seemed to make a bit of a break for it on the left-hand side, I don't know if you saw in the last shot, but Ricky Brigladori has headed north. He just stopped to climb. He's at 1,300 meters, but he's out in the valley to the left. And if he can get across to Bisbino first and get a decent climb, he'll be looking pretty good.
I suspect Ricky wants to make up for yesterday. He's a local boy. He flies in Alzate, which is the airfield about halfway down the first leg. He's probably decided that he doesn't want to fly in the pack today, that he knows what he's doing, he wants to go his own way, and he's heading for what he hopes is going to be a better route. Well, we wish him luck. We'll keep our eye on him, watch what he does, and see where he goes, and we'll see if his route turns out to be a better one.
Yeah, we're just riding behind Ricky there. You could see Lake Como in front of you, and the mountain on the other side is Monte Boleto. Hopefully he knows something we don't, and he'll make a climb there. Meanwhile, the others are still climbing 1.5 to 2 meters. Be good to have an altitude. Oh, we've got altitudes here. Getting up to 1,600 meters, Peter Panic. They're at the top of the pile. And they've now decided to leave. And they probably see Ricky out in the distance. And they'll now chase him down with 300 or 400 meters in hand.
Yeah, Ricky's climbing. Well, we'll see if the pack that's behind come into his thermal underneath him or above him. It could be that Ricky climbs back up a little bit and carries on running around the mountain.
Yeah, now we've got a good view of Ricky out in front, and they're chasing pack behind, and you can see that he's flying over the highest bit of ground that he can find at the moment, working his way down towards Como. The rest of the group coming a little further north now, following along the same ridge line. But they've got the advantage of height. So where would you want to be, Brian? Would you want to be with Ricky, or would you want to be in the chasing pack?
He's going as if he's got a real plan. He's got an idea what he wants to do. Deviating from it. Either that, or his plan isn't working, and he expected to climb before that, and it's just not working for him. He's now got to cross the city. He's got to cross the bottom part of the lake, and then climb up on the other side of the lake, on Mount Boletta. If he gets a good climb there, it'll be fine. We just noticed behind him the other pack were moving more northerly into the mountain. This is obviously he's not losing height very quickly. He's doing okay. He's picking up bits of energy there.
That ridge line he followed certainly seemed to be pretty good for him.
Yeah, he's still probably just over that, and he'll come onto this. See how close he gets when he looks like this, and we have a still light northerly wind, so the top of the mountain probably won't be so good, and so the thermals may well be better off the bottom part of that mountain, and he may be heading for the lower slopes. Well, actually, he's got no choice.
Yeah, it looks like Monte Boletta. So we've been. Anyway, we're back here. There's lots of people waving their arms around, so we'll keep talking to you. Don't think there's a fire alarm yet. So they've now managed to find the high ground, just looking for the first person to stop and climb. They're not dropping down. There must be some energy coming off these spines. Perhaps.
Yes, I'm wondering where Thomas is. Thomas is usually a good guide in this situation. You see, he's 1,300 meters, and he's sitting at the back. Tom's where he seems to like it most, down amongst the trees. We saw in Seastron, he's quite good at this low-level stuff. He doesn't win the day, but he has an exciting time.
Yeah, it certainly keeps us entertained, doesn't he?
I'm sure all our Australian fans back home are watching this and going, "Come on, Tom, get a climb and get up there with everybody else." And here we go. He's going to turn onto the mountain now.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, he's pretty close, but it's a north wind. And the chances are that the mountain, even if it doesn't give a really good thermal, will probably give him lift that he can get up above the top again. Yeah. Didier's with him, and we've got Kai there with him, so Lawrence joining in. These chaps are going to have to really work hard to catch up with the guys ahead. Can we see Werner there? What's Werner doing? Is he making a break for it?
Werner Arman looks like he missed this bubble and has carried on down the ridge, along with another Geo. Just trying to work out who that is.
Giorgio.
Yes, Giorgio Galetto, yeah. Local pilot, likes to fly the ridges. In fact, his nickname is the Mountain Rat, I think.
And that's what they call him. He told me this morning that when I asked him about the task, he said, "Why don't we get in the big mountains? Because I'm much better there." And when we said maybe the cloud base is a bit low, he said, "Yeah, you're probably right." But I think his idea was that it would be low for everybody else but him.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
So we're very interesting now that we've got the race underway, and I think Sean, you're going to hand over to talk to Giorgio for a minute.
Yes, that'd be great. Thanks, Brian. Meanwhile, the pack behind are still climbing. We're just on the tail of Werner Arman, looking at Giorgio ahead. Werner talked to him earlier. He's from Austria, comes to the western side of Austria, but they have a very similar terrain there. He feels very comfortable in these types of mountain conditions. So Giorgio, thanks for joining us.
Good morning to everybody.
Well, it's good morning somewhere in the world.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay. Yeah. We believe they've gone past the bottom of Como, and they look like they're heading towards the mountain you talked to me about yesterday, the ice cream mountain.
Later now they are at the end of Monte Bollettone, where normally we get the climb, and they are just climbing exactly at the place, and then they will cross the valley to reach Monte Cornizzolo. Yes.
You won't have seen this, but the maximum altitude we've seen is 1,600 meters. so nothing like as good as yesterday.
Yes, it's a little bit lower because the temperature this morning was pretty cold, so we need a little bit time it warm up. But for sure, when they will go more into the Bergamo valleys, they will find something a little bit more altitude.
Yeah, the task today takes the competitors another 10 to 15 kilometers further than yesterday. What was the decision making behind that?
Well, look, the weather forecast was stable, so I mean there was no big deal with storm or cover sky cover by clouds. So it was safe to go into those valleys because the turning point is very close to the flat. So the landing possibility is not a problem for today, and so we decided that we could go a little bit more than yesterday to the east.
That's great. So having seen Werner Arman climbing now just 1,600, nearly 1,700 meters, the chasing pack have stuck where they were. Just looking at their heights, they're coming up to 1,800 meters. So they're, 4 or 5 kilometers in front, Werner Arman, and the others a couple of hundred meters above, so that they're pretty close in total energy terms.
I believe they could see each other, and they just divided in two groups, almost two groups, because probably someone has taken the thermal in a better way, and so he gained some few meter of advantage, but it's long, still long to a finish, so we will see what happens.
Giorgio Galetto's just sort of snuck a little bit further down the task, 1,400 meters or so. Werner Arman is now taking chase, and the rest of the pack have now decided to leave that climb and move on further down the spine.
Yeah, it's amazing how Ricky was very low when they got to the ridge, but flying low, but along the ridge he reduced the gap in altitude with the others pretty fast.
Yeah, he's almost back into it now. So everybody now following on down the track, and this is a great view. We're following Thomas and Rasmus. Rasmus from Denmark, one of the young pilots here, never been in a final before, scored his first point yesterday, very happy he was. Thomas, a veteran of sailplane Grand Prix racing, very keen to score his first points here this week. Yeah, and we've got Thomas in the bottom of the screen. 1,800, nearly just under 1,900 meters. So yeah, they've got a much better climb.
Yeah, they will increase the altitude because the mountains here are higher than before, and so the cloud base is increasing together with the altitude of the mountains. You will see that later when they will cross the Ada River, then probably they will reach 2,000 or more.
So for now, they're gliding across to the next set of mountains, which is Monte Cornetto? Cornizzolo.
Yeah.
I'll get there. By the end of the week, I'll be fluent. And this is where the other leg of the lake, Como, and the big city at the bottom there is Lecco.
Yeah, exactly. They are in good position with the altitude, so they are on top of the ridge, and probably soon they will try to get the thermal.
Yeah, Werner Arman has overtaken Giorgio Galetto. Giorgio was a little lower and had to stop and climb, and Werner Arman is just following the top of the ridgeline along.
Yeah, they are coming to the end of the Cornizzolo mountain. Probably here is a good spot normally to get the thermal. They are high enough even if they want to continue, because now what we see on the screen is without clouds, but we know we have cumulus, and so probably they are looking to the next clouds to get the thermal.
Yeah.
And they are making push and pull with the speed to continue flying straight.
So working your way along the ridges, you're slowing down in the lift, pushing forward in the sink.
Exactly. In this way, you don't stop for turning, but you anyway get energy from the ridge. So when you stay much more time as you can in the lift, and when it's not lifting, you push and you fly fast and you cross the bad air mass to the next ridge.
Yeah, Giorgio seems to be doing a very good job here, working his way a little bit further left, using all the energy that's coming off the ridgeline there.
He is a special pilot about that. He has a huge experience in mountain flying, and he likes a lot to fly along the ridge, very close to the ridge. And so every time he has the possibility to follow the ridge, he will do.
Yes, he's got a bit too close once or twice.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit too close, but fortunately no problem for the pilot.
So just to recap, the start was a little bit messy. First person through the start line was Didier, although not very high. He's in now the main gaggle, chasing these two out in the lead. We're just over halfway-ish down the first leg. In fact, I'm sure Benji will find us a tile that will show us the distance to run to the next turn point. He's shaking his head. I think he's trying to come up with a better picture for us. As they cross now the city of Lecco at the bottom of the other leg of Lake Como. And there's an overhead view of you can see that they're just passing actually turn point 3. What else you got to show us there, Benji? That's an overhead shot of the full task. You see they're halfway down the first leg now. Just getting another view. The chasing pack have stopped to climb here.
Cornizzolo, they got the thermal.
So they're being patient, playing the waiting game, staying together, and they don't seem to be too worried about the two that have shot off in front.
We can see that the gaggle is now divided in two parts. The upper part with many pilots and 3-4 pilots below. And at this time it can be an advantage for the pilots are on top because they can leave the others still gaggling all together, and they can leave the gaggle and continue having other two glider in front that can be visible, and it's important for them to have in front of someone who gets the thermal before them.
It's difficult sometimes to stop and climb, even if you're climbing well and seeing somebody run off in front of you.
Yeah, it's something that is stressing a bit the pilot, and sometimes you take the right decision and sometimes not. This is the tactical part of the flight. The pilot has to keep in mind always. Sometimes it's good to leave and to follow the others. Sometimes it's not good, and you have to wait.
Yeah, Benji's just trying to find us another view, looking down the thermal. He's just going to send. They've actually just started to leave, so he's going to leave that one.
So they got 2,000 meters almost.
And this is enough to jump across the valley to get to the other side.
It's perfect altitude to continue the flight, because then after crossing the city of Lecco, the lake, they will get very close to the mountain Resegone, and just before Resegone there is a place. It's a famous place for us, where normally there is a very good lift.
And what's that place called?
We call them Tavolino Verde, that in Italian means little green table. Don't know why, but we call it like that. And that place, it's exactly where I'm pointing every time I have to fly in this area.
Yeah.
And they are pointing too. They are going there.
Is there also a mountain here, Resegone?
Resegone is just behind. It's the mountain on the left side of the corner. This mountain is Resegone.
Okay, so the higher, what looks to be a higher mountain, just above Sebastian.
Yep.
And this is the teeth of the saw.
Yeah,
right?
Resegone means in Italian means the teeth of a saw.
So those Italian lessons earlier weren't wasted then. I did remember something.
It's a famous mountain because also in some old books from Milan people, from Milan you can see this mountain very easily. And so it's very famous.
So pretty much everybody's now running. Although having said that, Werner Arman has stopped and taken one turn. He looks to have got there first, and Thomas Gostner just underneath him. Where did Thomas come from?
They are thermaling over Tavolino Verde. that's the place.
And Rasmus is in there as well from Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
So the leading three, actually four, Thomas and Giorgio, Rasmus and Werner Arman, all together, being chased down by the pack coming behind. Tom Claffey actually isn't doing too bad. He's in the bottom of that pile there, 1,500 metres. That's almost nosebleed territory for him. So we're just looking at the climb rates between 2.5 and 4 metres. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. That place, it's very good normally. Now it depends on how much altitude they can gain. If they get a good altitude, they will cross behind Resegone and they will immediately fly inside the Bergamo valleys. If they don't get enough altitude, they have to fly along the ridge down to Monte Albenza, and then from that position they can cross the valley and come into the Bergamo area.
And crossing the Bergamo Valley, there's nothing like the same height of mountain we've got here.
No, all the mountains are different. The shapes are also very different, and it's not landable. So the all pilots must take care about that and keep a safe altitude in case they don't get a lift to be able to reach the flat.
Yeah, now we can see them all joining together. So nobody's made a real break for it yet. Everybody's still together. About 2/3 of the way down the first leg now. All pretty close together. We got
average climb is very good.
Yeah. If we can believe the numbers, 6 meter climbs.
6 meter maybe is too much, but 2-3 meter I believe is possible.
Yeah.
Average. I mean, it means you have some spikes to 5, some spikes to 1, but the average is around 3.
Really cool graphics we've got here. The Silent Wings program working very well. Benji working his magic to give us some great pictures.
That's a gaggle, huh?
It certainly is a gaggle. There's 20 gliders in one gaggle. Although Werner Arman looks like he might have just pushed on. Yeah, just followed by Rasmus. They've decided to leave. I'm going to have to talk to Rasmus about his mountain flying.
Yep.
I'll find out where he goes mountain flying in Denmark.
In Denmark, yeah.
There are no mountains.
2,000, you see. So
yeah, 2,000 meters
they
now.
reach 2,000,
yeah.
And some are a little bit more lower.
Yeah, poor old Thilo and Lawrence down there, just over 1,000 meters, and Ricky, having followed the ridges, still doing his own thing down at 1,200 meters. So we can now see these really jagged mountain here.
Yeah. This is Resegone. You see they are crossing on top because they have enough altitude.
Yeah.
And so just the mountain behind at the center of the screen, that's already Valbrembana. It's already one of the Bergamo valleys.
So they're now across the Ada River.
Already crossed, just after the Ada River.
So all of them just taking a little bit of altitude as they come over the top of the ridge.
Yep.
And then pushing on. Here's a good view.
Yep.
Thanks, Benji.
And probably Ricardo was not high enough to cross, and so he's now following another way. It's along the ridges down to Monte Albenza. He has to make more kilometer, but he can fly along the ridge. So I hope for him it will work. And maybe you will see him meeting the other at the turning point.
Yeah. So this is a big cardinal rule of broadcasting: turn your phone off before you sit in the sound booth. So Werner Arman out in front, 1,800 meters.
Yep. He's leading in front of the group. It's in good position, good altitude.
Where did Giorgio Galetta go? Oh, there he is. Yeah, on the right-hand side of our picture.
Yeah, they are all together.
Max from France, yesterday's winner, close to the leading pack. Rasmus, Sebastian Kawa in there as well. And I think we have one other. No, that's the leading group.
You see, they are flying 200 km/h, which means they see a very good sky in front of them, and so they are pushing hard to get to the next thermal as soon as possible and to get a very good lift. Because it's typical from glider pilots, when they see that in front of them they will find a good condition, they push hard, they fly at high speed, they lose altitude for sure, but they gain time.
And have you ever been disappointed by doing that?
Sometimes it happens, because then the sky looks great, but it was not great. that's a typical mistake, but
yeah.
Era spento.
So we're having microphone fun and games here.
Yeah.
So out in front, Werner Arman.
Yeah.
Coming
after
up to
this mountain, I don't know the name because it's plenty of mountain there. After this mountain, the next valley is Val Seriana, which is the valley that brings to Bergamo city, and which is not landable as well. But it's the condition normally here with this kind of weather should be fantastic.
So outlanding's not really something we're considering at all, really.
No, at the time with this kind of altitude and looking how fast they are flying, I mean, I believe that they have a great sky in front of them, and so they just race right now. They are not scared or worried about outlanding at all.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a side view. Van Arman just reaching this high ground first. We'll see if he stops. The others chasing. No
You see
sign
he's
of
now
stopping.
pulling up because the altitude is increasing. So he found something good, but still keeping going on.
Not enough, just a half a metre and
Yep.
pushing on. And the rest of the pack following on after him.
Yeah, they will all continue, I believe.
One of the actually he's
Maybe.
turned left. Maybe is he?
No,
Just
push
no,
again.
just pushing again.
Push
Yeah,
again.
yeah. One of the graphics we've got gives us the distance to the turn point, and Benji's waving his finger. Yes, I presume that means it's either coming or it doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, sorry, now I understand. Because we didn't get the gliders going through the start line, we have a number of the competitors. It doesn't trigger the start for the computer program in the background to give us the distance to the turn point. So we'll make a decent guess at it. It looks like about 25 kilometers to go.
Yep. So they are crossing now Val Seriana.
That's the river in the valley.
Yeah, Serio is the name of the river. They are crossing, and the mountain they will approach now is the mountain that brings them to the turning point.
Monte
the center.
Terezzo.
Exactly, that's the name. Exactly, and it will be very interesting to see because they are still pushing at 1500 meter. So it looks like the sky is nice, and so pilots are confident that they can get a lift also at low altitude. Because I can tell you at 1500 meter in those valley, you start thinking where I'm going.
And we've got a great view as they come over the top of that ridge.
Yep.
Didier now and Carlos Roca. They're about halfway down the pack, but not too far away, still in contention. Didier 1200 meters, Carlos 1500 meters.
No, Didier is not really high at the moment. It's not very nice looking from that altitude, the ridges and the valleys, but still has no trouble to exit from the valley in case he gets lower.
Yeah, I think if Eric were here, he would say he needs a climb.
Yeah, he needs a climb, absolutely. Maybe when Benji has time, we can have a look where Ricky is.
We'll just use the other screen while we look at Werner Arman, still out in front. He's doing very well today.
Yep, he's doing very well. Now he needs a lift. Now it's time to get a lift. Otherwise, he has to turn right and to overpass the mountain from the right, because you see the mountain in front of him is pretty high. or maybe he's pointing just in front of him, this pass, this lowest point on the ridge. Maybe he can get on the other side. It's still not close enough to say, but he's trying to do like that.
Yeah, he's slowing down. Been flying at 140 kilometers an hour, 70 knots. Slowing right down now, pulling up. Oh, looks like we lost a bit of tracking. We'll change to Ricky.
Okay, Ricky is in Albenza. At the end of Albenza, altitude is good. He is a little bit in delay, so he's in the back of the group, but it's in a better condition now because he can fly along ridges, the lowest one, up to the turning point. So we will see if he can go faster than the other, staying outside of the valleys.
Yeah, he doesn't need to stop because there isn't a big mountain in front of him. He's high enough to get over these, use the energy coming off the top of the spines and go straight there, whereas the others are going to have to stop and climb. In fact,
Exactly.
I'm sure we can see, here we go, another great picture from Benji as they're heading towards the mountain, but you can see they're not high enough to get over the top of it. There is a pass there they may be able to get to.
Yeah, Kai is not in a very good position right now, 800 meters, but probably now he got a thermal. Look, he's climbing very fast. Pull up,
Good pull
maybe
up, yeah.
he's thermaling now.
We were talking to Kai on the grid earlier. He's not a pack animal. He
No.
likes to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works for him.
Yes, look, he gained 400 meters in a few
Meters,
seconds.
Yes. Flying uphill.
Uphill, yeah.
Literally up the hill.
Yeah, literally.
And we think the first group
You
has stopped
see
to
he's
climb.
starting climbing now.
Just looking at the climb rates. 1 meter looks to be the best at the moment. Christophe Abadé, 2.5 meters. Yeah, he's at the top of the pile there. Yeah, averaging out to be 1.5 meters there or thereabouts. The rest of the group coming in underneath. Bernard Arman, the early leader, only just now reaching this group. So he must have been overtaken.
Kai, we can see that Kai has to make a different circle, a different pattern, because probably it's the ridge of the mountain that obliges him to fly in a different way.
Yeah, there's another view of the same thermal.
And also Thomas is together with Kai or around the Kai area.
Yeah,
Didier as well is low, turning on the ridge.
the guys at the bottom have moved over along the ridge a little.
Yeah.
A little bit further north.
Probably the thermal is starting from the top of the ridge, and if you are too low, you need to find another thermal that brings you at the correct altitude to get the last one.
So what height do you think they will have arrived above the ground there?
I believe now if they start, if the thermal is good enough, they will climb until the ceiling, so probably around 2,000 meters. If the thermal is not good, around 1,600, 1,700, they will leave.
Giorgio's had enough and he's leaving. Moving on. The rest of the group are now coming back together. René Vidal.
Yeah, Giorgio
one of the
left.
bottoms. Yeah, Giorgio's
1,600, you see, left. It was not so good, the thermal.
Yeah. And Didier looks like he's left as well.
Mm-hmm.
The others are still climbing 2 meters. Christophe Abadé, Max, Christophe Rouche.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's tricky because maybe we had we got the information that it was pretty much cloudy in this area. It was not cloudy due to storm or to showers. It was just a lot of cumulus. So it can happen that in certain spot the too much cloud make a shadow, and the thermal are weakening a little bit. But as soon as you get in the right place at with the sun, then it would be immediately very good.
Yeah. Werner Arman got to the top of the thermal and left at 1,900 meters.
Yeah, so
Sebastian the same.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're all going to move on from here now. So they'll start to spread out a little. The talk on the grid was for more cloud today.
Yep.
And they as I was going further down the back of the grid, even some of the competitors were saying that they might even see a spot of rain at the first turn point.
Yeah, but I don't think about rain because there is no development in altitude of the clouds. This means that the humidity that is inside the cloud will not transform in water, and so we will not have shower, I believe.
So Werner Arman now chasing towards the turn point with Giorgio Galetto and Sebastian Carver with a little bit more altitude, not far behind.
They are really on track because we can see the line going to the turning point, so they just choose to stay as much as possible on the track. Ricky Brigliadori made a completely different decision, and or maybe he was obliged to take a different decision due to altitude problem, and he's doing more kilometers, but it will be really interesting in the next minutes to see where he is when they reach the turning point.
He should be coming from the south on
From
our
the
right-hand
south,
side of the screen to the turn point.
You see they are pushing 200 again. It means the tricky point is over, and they see nice clouds in front, and they are pushing hard.
Yeah, and that looks
Sebastian, 205.
A good bit of terrain to follow all the way into the turn point. So the mountain Monte Torrezzo.
Yeah, it's this one in front of them. And just after the mountain, there will be the Lake of Clusone, and the north edge is the turning point.
Okay, we're just going to change the screen so we're on the tail of Sebastian's glider. Looking ahead, he'll be able to see on his right-hand side in front Werner Arman, trying to make sure he doesn't get away. And from 1,700 meters, do you think they'll stop and climb again before the turn point?
It would be the best, because then they have to cross the valley, reach the turning point, and come back. So the best way is to make the ceiling on this mountain, the last part maybe, just before going to the turning point, back to the mountain, back to the ceiling, and to the second turning point.
Fantastic. We're just going to see if we can change the view to see where all of the gliders are. Where's the leading pack?
Anyway, they started at 14:10, and in less than 1 hour, they are almost at the turning point. That is 101 kilometers. So the average speed of the flight, it's pretty good.
100 kilometers an hour, not too shabby.
With the gain of altitude, so then it will increase.
Yes. So we're expecting a faster race today than yesterday.
Yeah, I expect a faster race. Yes. We can see the lake now, where the turning point is, the lake going to the south, Lago di Seo. They are in good position.
Benji giving us a great view. Werner and Sebastian now working the terrain.
And it's incredible how accurate is the scenery of this system, because I remember very well this mountain and this small lake at the center of the screen. This it's almost a pool or something like that. It's just water for the farmers, I believe. And it's exactly like that. It's exactly in this way.
We've been very fortunate to have Silent Wings put a great deal of effort into making this software as good as it is.
Yeah,
and help us visualize the
yes,
race.
and it's incredible how the shape of the mountain, the colors and everything, the details are incredible. It's like to be in flight, really. It's exactly the same. And also, if you look far away, it has it's like reality. It's a wonderful scenery.
So out in front, Werner Arman, closely followed by Sebastian Carver. And then not far behind them, there's a chasing group. Giorgio Galetto.
It's a little bit lower.
Yes, but still there.
Yeah, it's okay. He is obliged now probably to go a little bit more right, because he's just at the limit with the altitude.
Yeah. And nice to see Uli in there.
Uli is
with
there
Rasmus
as well, yes.
Yeah.
He's a little bit low, not too much, but he needs to climb for sure.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy with himself yesterday. He felt he was a little too cautious.
The other stopped before. Yep, they are thermaling.
was looking at their altitudes. There's nothing extreme there. They're all staying together, but the guys in front are roughly the same altitude. So they look like they've taken a bit of a jump.
Yeah, maybe they just made a different route, just a little, only few 100 meters besides the one leading, and probably they got a different thermal. But now looks like also the leading group, Giorgio, Sebastian, and Werner, they are climbing. They are trying to climb. And Uli is reaching the place.
He's
Uli
racing in there.
saw it immediately.
Yeah. So nobody quite got the core yet. They're all searching for it.
Oh, also Rasmus from below is coming in the area.
And the rest of the pack going to chase them down. Giorgio can't find it. He's moved on.
And Uli is continuing.
He's flown straight through too. Turn point's not very far away now, probably 4 or 5 kilometres. And this is Monte Torrezzo.
Yeah, this is Monte Torrezzo.
That's a great view of the valley where the turn point is. It's a very clever task setting this week. Not putting it on the top of the mountains, putting it out in the valley to make them work hard.
Thank you. Glider pilots normally hate to have a turning point on top of the mountain, because when you are low, you can't turn a turning point because it's too high.
So just to recap, we're now about 9/10 of the way down the first leg.
And look, Ricky, you see Ricky slowly, he already got the second group. He already overpassed. He is a little bit lower, but he can continue straight on to the turning point. It's a different way, different route, but average speed is not bad. He was very low, and he could continue the flight anyway. And this is experience, local experience.
There's a better view of Ricky heading towards that ridge.
Now
and he can
Ricky,
follow it all the way.
Yeah, now he will follow the ridge almost to the turning point, and that's a good deal for him now, because he doesn't have to cross the mountain. He just fly along the mountain.
And Brian's popped in to have a look. What can you tell us, Brian?
Hi, thanks, Giorgio. Hi, thanks, Giorgio. It's interesting. We were just looking at the satellite picture, and we can see down at the other end of the mountains where they are now, there's quite a lot of convective cloud, quite a lot of cumulus cloud. So on our screen it's clear blue, but we're pretty sure that on the top of the mountains there'll be good cumulus, and they'll be enjoying the being able to see where the lift is and being able to see where the thermals are. So get me up to date on the race then, Sean. Who's doing what?
Werner Arman, Giorgio Galetto and Sebastian made a little bit of a break for it, and Uli Schwenk wouldn't let them get away, and they were all climbing together on this mountain here, Monte Torrezzo. We've got an altitude now just over 2,000 metres, and the chasing pack, Christophe Abade, has managed to split from them and has caught them up. So we've got a group of 4 or 5 gliders here. Giorgio Galetto missed the climb and has pushed on. He's going straight for the turn point. Looks like he'll be first round. We've got a chasing pack behind, and Ricky taking a completely different route. He's the local boy though.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's really good to see that both Giorgio and Ricky are doing their own flight. They're making their own decisions. But, you know, there's a sort of folklore in gliding that local knowledge is really, really important. And it's true. It is really important. But it's so often that we see that the conditions are a little bit different, like today, a little bit of a north wind, and the local pilots will fly the way they expect to fly the race, they expect it to be done, whereas the pilots who don't know the area will fly very much just on what they see and what they feel. And sometimes this is the best way to do it. Sometimes it's best to take a completely different view and not go with the conventional way. And this is often where I remember many times in the Alps where people say we always go here and we always go there. And it turned out sometimes you could get well ahead of them by doing something quite different that was more obvious at the time.
Yep. And we've got Giorgio first round, but he's not very high, 1,200 metres, coming back, looking up at Monte Torrezzo, whereas all the others coming now streaming across above him at 1900 meters, so 700 meters above him. More comfortable up there.
Well, if he'll see them, he'll see those guys going in overhead, and he'll look ahead and he'll see the guys climbing ahead, and I'm pretty sure it'll spur him on. The trouble is that he may think, I've really got to push now. I've really got to push to stay ahead. But the danger of that is you get a little bit low. Gliding is a really intellectual game, and he's facing one of those critical decisions. Does he climb back up again and get high, or does he try to run the ridges back? I don't think it worked that well for Ricky. So I suspect if Giorgio just runs the ridge, I'm not sure he's going to really benefit from it.
So we've got Ricky going from left to right down the ridge, and Giorgio coming back the other way.
Yep. Well, Ricky's quite a bit higher, but you know, Ricky didn't really climb there. That's not a good indication that Giorgio is going to have a good time. No. I think that we noticed that the big climb, the climb that Sebastian found and him and Werner took, was on the North Bowl. It was really instigated, I think, by the wind flowing from the north into that part of the mountain, and as it gets to the top of the mountain, it combines with the warm air from the sun from the south side of the mountain, and if the gentle rising air from both sides gives them a really good climb. If you're on the south side of the mountain with the sun on it, you may only get air that's rising at half that rate, only half the energy, and you really will suffer from that in terms of speed. To get the speed up, you've got to find those high energy spots.
So Giorgio around first, Werner Armann second, Sebastian third, but Werner and Sebastian with a great deal more height, able to get back on top of the mountain here, Monte Terrazzo. The rest of the fleet having finished their climb, heading out to the turn point and round. Although I just see Didier going through there only at 1,000 meters.
Yeah, come on Didier, you better get up a bit. This could be the critical part of the flight, because it may only be halfway around the flight, halfway around the race course, but if the Seb and Werner get a good climb now and they get up high straight away, they're going to be really difficult to catch, because they're going to find an easy route back, and once you get on that easy route, the energy line, it's difficult for anybody to catch you up. To catch up, you need the pilots in the front to make a mistake, and once they get up high here, if it works for them, I can't see them making much of a mistake.
It should be a fairly straightforward run back east from there to the airfield.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would have thought, especially with a little bit of cumulus, that it's easier for them to see where the energy is. Once they get up here, they're going to be able to run on quite quickly, I suspect, and that makes it very difficult for them to be catched, to be caught.
Giorgio taking a more southerly route, following the ridges, but he's 500 meters or so below the others. Werner Armann and Sebastian, 1,700 meters. Just waiting to see if they stop and climb or whether they'll push on.
Well, Giorgio's doing well. I mean, he's not hung around, is he?
No.
He's really got it. He's really going for it now, and he's really he's decided that that's his strategy. He's going to try and make it work, and if it works for him, well, good on you, Giorgio. It'll be fantastic, and we're going to see in a minute, because as you can see there, there's a low-level ridge which they're running, and there's the higher level ridge behind. Werner's heading for the higher level ridge. Sebastian, he's happy on that middle ridge, and Giorgio's down on the face of the slightly lower ridge. And when it comes to the end of these ridges, you need to be high enough to cross the gap. And if you're not high enough to cross the gap, that's when the trouble starts.
Yeah, I've just seen Giorgio stop and climb. Must have got a decent thermal, and he's taking a top up.
Yeah. It might be the first one he's hit that he thought is any good.
Yeah, we're just seeing here Sebastian's taking a hard right.
Yeah.
Coming back, he's seen Carlos Roca climbing in that north-facing bowl. Werner Armann also seen that. Carlos 300 meters, 400 meters above them.
And
Got a
Carlos
bit nice
is still
top
on the
up.
way in, though.
Yeah, this is true.
So Carlos is really having a hard time today. He's well back. I don't know what happened to him earlier on. Did he get a bit low or something?
He was with them, and then all of a sudden he dropped off the back.
Maybe he just didn't get over a ridge and had to go back again to get a climb. That's what happens if you don't get the altitude just right and you go towards the mountain and you arrive just a few meters too low to cross over. You've got a real problem, because the guys who cross over go straight into the good energy and they climb quickly, and you fall back, and you can take quite a long time to get back up to a decent altitude again.
Werner flew through the bottom of the thermal, started to turn and then stopped and then stretched it out, but now he's found the core now. Sebastian coming in underneath.
Yeah, this Werner, he's a Austrian mountain pilot, and he's a very cool dude. He won't be phased by any of this. He'll be flying his glider, looking ahead, working out what to do. He won't be worrying too much about the others. I think yesterday Werner might have been feeling a little bit nervous about it all, but I think now he's had a flight, he's going to relax into this. And we saw him flying in Sardinia in the Spanish Grand Prix. He was flying really, really nicely there. And you can see now he's got a really good climb. I think that Giorgio's about to get eaten up by these guys. They're going to go right over the top of him. He's going to have to find a really good climb to match this.
Well, there's Giorgio, still working his way south.
Yeah, he's up again though. He's 1,400 meters.
Yeah,
that's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can see Sebastian and Werner, they're up at 1,700. So actually, the gap isn't that great. 300 meters is not a lot, because you could lose that in absolutely twinkling of an eye when you fly through some sinking air.
Roman Merchek, one of our leading pack yesterday. We haven't seen much of him today. He seems to have broken away from the chasing pack, and he's working his way at 1,400 meters.
We know that Roman flies really well. He's a very talented pilot, and he won't want to get left behind. He'll realize this is a critical part of the race, and he'll realize that if you stay with the main group and fly conservatively, it's all over. He'll want to be at the top. He'll want to be in the big points. He won't be satisfied with the bottom part of the result today.
Just looking in the just before the picture change there, Kai Limburg down at 800 meters, not having a great day.
Ooh la la, that's not a very good place to be. It's not a very good place to be for two reasons. One is you feel really uncomfortable, and it's not nice to be down there in this sort of a countryside. But the other reason is you can see all the other guys way up 1,000 meters above you, and that makes you feel really bad. It makes you feel really depressed.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a climb there, but the chasing pack have been through the turn point and are now coming back, and have found a climb on top of Monte Terrazzo. Thilo, who was doing quite well earlier on, looks like he's having a bad day down at 1,000 meters through the turn point. René Vidal also not having a stunning day. But this chasing pack, Peter Panek, who did very well yesterday, he was running in 5th or 6th place at one point yesterday. Just coming into the bottom of the climb.
It'll be very interesting when talking to these pilots after the flight to find out, for example, with Thilo, what went wrong, because he was going well, he was high, and now suddenly he's down there and he's not doing very well at all. And it'll be quite interesting to look back and talk through with him where it all went wrong for him. Romans and Seb, they're going up okay, but look at Giorgio. Giorgio's really up there doing it.
1,900 meters, but quite a long way to the south.
Yeah, that maybe it's difficult to orientate on this, exactly who's in the lead at the moment.
Got a fantastic view now of Sebastian and Werner, who've left their climb. Got a good line of terrain to follow. You can see the turn point off in the distance.
And you see, this is what I was talking about earlier. There's a little bit of a breeze from the right side, from the north side, and warm air coming up from the left side. They're high enough now to fly right over the very top and benefit from the energy from both sides of the mountain. For me, this is absolutely the right tactic for today, because it's really difficult to know which side would be better. So if you get right on the top, then you've got the chance, then you've got the security of knowing whichever side's better, you're going to get it. But the mountain's coming up to meet Sebastian, so he's going to have to choose in a minute, left or right. Werner looks like he's going to take the left side as they sink below the top, the sunny side. That's a glider pilot's instinct, is to go for the sunny side. Northern Hemisphere pilots not used to the mountains take the windy side, because we rely upon the wind on the ridge. The mountain pilots, they like the sunny side because that's where they think the energy always comes from.
So there we are, the mountain soaring course by Brian Sprexley.
Yeah. Well, there isn't anything more exciting than you can do in your life. This is really, really, really fantastic fun to be flying a glider along the mountains in this sort of an environment. Not only trying to work out where the energy is, not trying to work out where you're going to go, but actually trying to beat everybody else at the same time. Trying to get ahead, trying to stay really efficient. What's happening here? We've got Werner. Werner's going to turn on the top of the mountain. Has he got a little bit of a climb here?
Little col there, and Sebastian went over the col, and Werner looks like he's turned right.
No, he's still running there.
Still running again. And Sebastian just behind him.
Yeah.
There's a good view. Well done, Benji.
That's
very
nice.
close to the ridge.
Yeah, and I think that Sebastian's recognised that Werner's probably got the right attitude today, and he thinks, yep, I'm going to stay with this guy because he's flying really well, and I'm happy to be with him when we get to the end, because it's really nice to be flying with somebody who's got the right frame of mind, who's very positive, who's not going to hang back, and it makes it such a difference to you when you've got a partner like that to fly with. Don't forget, each of these pilots is flying quite independently. They're not talking to each other. Everybody stays on the same frequency. There's no team flying. And so they're actually enjoying a competition where it's just the pilot in the cockpit that's making the decisions and that's doing the work.
This area that they're flying in at the moment is the Bergamo Valley. Van Arman just taking a turn there. Will Sebastian come back? Maybe. They need to cross through this bit before they get to the next set of higher mountains, and they'll start to take a climb and then push on over the first leg of Lake Como at Lecco.
Well, is that a mistake, Werner? He's only got 1 meter, 1.5 meters on his Vario there, so he's not climbing that well. But I think he's decided that crossing the next gap to Lake Como, he wants to arrive at the other side at 1,300 meters. He's going to use at least 300 meters, maybe more, to cross the gap. So he's trying to take a little bit more here. This could be the point at which Werner's lost his nerve a little bit and decided not to push on. Sebastian, he doesn't seem to be phased at all. He's just keeping running. Let's see where Giorgio is and see if Sebastian and Giorgio come together on the other side, or has Giorgio been passed now?
We're just checking. Just got a view coming up as Sebastian starts to take a thermal.
Yeah, 2 meters, 1.5 meters.
Giorgio running a little bit further to the south, but 1,700 meters, so he's got more altitude.
He's up high. I would think there's a chance that Giorgio's running under bits of cumulus there. And he's using little bits of cumulus that are forming off these hills to give him a guide to where the energy line is. And if he does that, he's going to probably do pretty well on this route. Romans is catching up. He's not letting them get away. 1,800 meters. He obviously just had a good climb. And any minute now, he's going to be with Sebastian and Werner.
Yes, 1,800 meters. So he's got a couple of 100 meters in hand.
Yeah. the distance behind those two, he's going to need that 300 meters to catch them. So realistically, he's still behind, but he's not much behind. And Christoph Rusch is with him. It actually looks like the guys behind are catching up a little bit.
Yeah, although there's pretty mixed altitudes there, but certainly the guys that are pretty high, 1,700 meters, 1,800 meters, they're on a par with Werner and Sebastian.
Can we see what's coming up, Benjamin? See what the situation is, because we've got a bit of a critical point here to cross the next valley, I suspect.
If we can just zoom out from that view, we can see roughly where they are on the task a little bit more, so we can see. That's great. Change the picture. So they're about a third of the way back towards the airfield, which puts them just coming up to Lecco, another 10-15 kilometers in front of them.
Yeah, they're further back than I thought they were. I thought they were further on the Massif. So, yep, they've still got to get over the next higher mountains yet, which are 1,600 meters or so. So they need to climb up a little bit. Otherwise, they're going to have to divert round to the south. That would be a good thing for Giorgio, because he's already got that route. So you can see Sebastian and Werner need some altitude to ensure that they don't have to divert more to the south at the next mountain.
They've stopped climbing and pushing on.
Roman's 1,800 meters right on their tail. And the other little group there following Roman's, they're not going to let him go. Although one or two of those they're following quite low.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's maybe not. Maybe they're travelling hopefully.
What was it you told me once about never chase from below?
Yeah, that's right. You can't catch them from below them. You've got to get up there with them sometime. And Christoph Rusch, Maximilian, and Christoph Abadé are all going very nicely together. We don't think that they're flying as a team, do we, Benj? No, we don't. We're pretty sure that each one of those guys wants to win.
There's a very Gallic shrug from my left-hand side there.
Yeah, well, he's got to be pretty non-committal. Benjamin Nagler's here. He's our race view operator, fantastic at the job. Of course, he was very successful team captain for the French team in the women's competition, where they picked up a couple of gold medals. And but he's enjoying himself here because he doesn't have any responsible for anybody else, only what he's doing, and that's a nice relief.
Now the chasing pack have caught these guys. Now Sebastian and Werner have stopped to climb, and you can see streaking in underneath them now the chasing pack. Peter Panek at 1,100 meters definitely does need a climb. And the rest of the group around the same sort of altitude, just underneath these guys. So we've now got the group come back together again.
Well, I wonder why. It's difficult for us to know why Sebastian and Werner stopped to climb so long just there. Why they decided that they needed altitude. You know, what might happen there is that they arrive where they expect a good climb and they need one, and it just doesn't happen for them. And they just have to be patient. They're both very experienced. So they'll know that they need to be patient for a moment or two. They need to think about this. To go on now probably means more trouble later. And that's given the other chaps, particularly Romans, he's the only one who's really caught them because he's the same sort of height. Most of the others, Maximilian, he's there, look. Maximilian's up there with them. So, yep, we've got a race on our hands again. They didn't get away.
We're just trying to keep an eye on Giorgio, who was a little bit further to the south. Still 1,400 meters. Been doing very well. He's probably 10-15 kilometers ahead now.
Yeah, and also he'll be enjoying it. He will be really enjoying flying on his own. He'll be slightly concerned about where the others might have got to, but I'm sure every now and again he'll be able to look to his north, and if he stops to turn and see they're behind him, even though they might be a bit higher, and he'll be comfortable with that with his position because he's coming into a very good place. And if he hooks a really good climb here, that could make quite a lot of difference to the race. Quite a big pack forming up now, and with Sebastian and Werner together. Still climbing. Nobody seems to have gone on yet.
Cracking view of the thermal. 1,900 meters. Ricky off in the distance there, ploughing his lonely furrow.
Yeah, he's still flying in the low-level route.
Giorgio still going out in front, 1,350 metres.
It comes back to sometimes you have to think about the background of the pilot, and Ricky's very much an individual pilot. He's very much a loner. He won't want to fly where the other guys go, and he will be going back to his roots. He'll remember all the early flying in this area when he was learning to glide and how they used to fly, and he'll be comfortable about the way he's flying, but he will be pretty annoyed at the end of the day if it doesn't work out for him. And it just looks like he's chosen the wrong strategy for the race. And he really would have been better off going for the climbing high and staying above the top strategy rather than trying to run the ridges. But on another day, that might work out really well for him.
There's another great shot of Giorgio, very, very close to the scenery.
Yeah, and we're watching Giorgio here. He's having a great day, look. And we think that he's coming up to quite a critical point here, Giorgio. So I'm going to let Giorgio come and join you again, because I think this bit really requires a bit of local knowledge to understand.
Thanks, Brian. So Giorgio Ballaretti, our race director, comes to join us.
Thanks. I'm back. So, interesting, eh? Giorgio Galetto chose the typical way we use in this part. So he joined Monte Albenza, and now we will fly along the ridge to Lecco city, and then we'll cross the valley. And it's in good position, the altitude is okay, and he gained some kilometer, I believe, with the others. The other, they choose to make the same route, the same track they did to go to the first turning point, and Giorgio got a good lift, got good altitude, and so decided to make it all along the ridges. It seems to get a good advantage.
Yeah, he's managed to get on the right side of this ridge, and following it north now, getting closer to the turn point, which we can see at the top left of our screen, with the third turn point just a little bit closer to us. So they go up to turn point 2 and then come back a little bit southeast, and then from there they've only got 30 kilometers to run to home. So Giorgio now, we can see probably 10-12 kilometers in front, running from your left to right on the screen, whereas the chasing pack with a great deal more altitude coming straight towards the turn point in the middle of our screen.
Yeah, the difference is that these people we are looking at the center of the screen, they have continuously to cross valleys, to cross ridges. Giorgio, making that route, is flying along the ridges, and this makes things easier for the pilot to find the lift along the ridges. We can see at the center of the screen the next mountain, the higher one, is the Monte Resegone, so he's again back in the just east of Lecco. And he is just at the limit of the ridge. It's just in a perfect situation. If he gets the lift right now, it's perfect. Here or just in the next edge.
So again, flying uphill.
Yeah, he's flying uphill, and we can see the altitude moving very fast. These are all the small lift you find on the ridges, and if he will find a better one, then for sure he will stop to thermaling.
We haven't actually stopped to talk about it much, but the tracking today seems to be so much better. We're getting consistent signals and able to bring you hopefully a much better view of what's going on.
Okay, didn't found, so now he's leaving the ridge to go to Tavolino Verde. That is just this small ridge in front of him, and we will see if he can get the good lift over there.
Just going to go back to the chasing pack, who seem to have stopped,
Gaggle.
and they're busy climbing. 1.5 meters.
Yeah, I checked just when I left a few minutes ago. I just checked on high-resolution satellite pictures. it shows in this area, the area they are living, a lot of cumulus clouds, just cumulus clouds, but a lot. It means this that all these clouds make a lot of shadow. And with this shadow, the temperature will not increase because there is no sun on the ground. And for this reason, probably Giorgio Galetto chose to stay more south because it could be at the border between the shadow and the full sunshine. And this is a clever idea. It works because in this way you always have a air mass with a lot of energy. When you are flying below black cloud, the energy is less.
Giorgio taking the opportunity to stop and climb.
Very good, perfect. This can be the point for today. If we can get very high here at the ceiling, the flight is not over, but he has a big advantage. Look now the average climbing speed. It's very good.
So he stuck with the pack
Yeah.
initially down the first leg. When he saw his opportunity, struck out into the lead and decided to come back along the ridges. Ricky did the opposite. He went along the ridges to start with, but they didn't work as well as the higher mountains.
Probably the way was good, but he could not because just before the first turning point, the disadvantage Ricky had was decreased a lot. So probably Giorgio Galetto was able to find a good lift and then to fly along the ridges. Maybe Ricky didn't find this good lift, and so he was still flying at low altitude. And this means you have to fly every corner of the ridge, every little modification on the ridge. You have to fly around.
Just changing the view to the chasing pack, who have stopped to climb again. About the same height as Giorgio, just underneath Giorgio. But he's another ridge further on.
He's around 5-10 kilometers ahead. The altitude is very good. The lift he got is very good, and so he is in very, very good position now. It can be very. You look, Ricky is not so bad, but he's very low.
There's been another split decision here. Sebastian isn't with this leading group. He decided to stop and climb, and is over, just under 2,000 meters now. Coming over the top of this group with Roman Merchek. They seem to fly quite well together.
Yeah, they fly together. Yes, it's clear. They fly well. They are all young pilots, very good, very experienced, even if they are young. So it's a nice group to see. Look, George already reached 2,000 meters. It's perfect position now to start to go.
Yeah, now he's gone south and round the group, popped up in front and still climbing.
Yeah.
Quite a commanding lead now.
So more than 2,000. Nice.
And
Probably he's going to leave very soon.
And we see Ricky trying to make the ridge work as Giorgio did. But
can
he's
we have a
900
look at
meters.
Ricky where he is so we can see?
Here we go.
Okay. Ricky is perfect. He's at Albenza mountain, just below the village on top of the mountain is called Roncola. It's also a turning point of our list. And now I hope he gets a good thermal, because from that position he is in the back for sure. But he has still a lot of possibility to get at least the group. Maybe not Giorgio Galetto, but the group is still, even if he's now low, if he gets a good thermal from this position, he knows the way. Because he can even decide to fly straight on into the flat from this position without making all this corner to the north to Lecco and then back to flying west. He can fly west directly from this position just to the second turning point.
And we think Giorgio's now left. Yes, indeed, he has.
So over Lecco City, you can see on the right lower corner of the screen, this is Lecco City, the Adda River and the bridges that were in the past, when we didn't have the GPS and loggers, we were using pictures with camera, and the turning point was the bridge.
We just lost the signal a little bit there, and we'll just give you an overview of where everybody is. So they're all now approaching Lecco City.
They are at Monteresegone at the moment, the group. And
they'll-
so Giorgio has around a 5 to 10 kilometer advantage at the moment, and also altitude because he is in front and he is high.
So this leading pack slowly reeling in Giorgio with Roman Mershek pushing hard out in front. Uli, nice to see Uli in there. Tom Claffey as well.
Yeah.
Peter Panic.
They got
Didier,
the thermal
Max.
Giorgio was doing before. You see, they got a 2,000 meter as well as Giorgio. So this is Tavolino Verde. This is the place where we were speaking about before. And normally in this point, it's a good place for thermaling. And
Yes, on the way out they got a very good climb here, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Roman and Christoph and Werner Arman, Sebastian all deciding to stop and climb. And that gives us a better idea of where Giorgio is.
Giorgio
1700
is already
meters.
on the small hill you see just on the left side of Como Lecco city, just between the lakes, the small lake and the lake of Lecco. The hill is Monte Barro, and it's also a good spot for some thermals. But then he will fly for sure to Cornizzolo, and probably there he will find a good. He's already at Cornizzolo. He's approaching the Cornizzolo ridge. Normally, at the end of this ridge, it's the place where with paragliders and hang gliders they fly. It's a big club in Italy, one of the biggest. And exactly where the paraglider are taking off, it's the place where the thermal are starting normally. It's just above this mine we see on the left side of the screen. The altitude is perfect because he is around 200-300 meters above the ridge. So it's plenty of space to find the thermal.
It's a great view looking back over Lecco City and the chasing group. I see Lawrence Hurian from South Africa also managed to catch up with that group.
He pulled up, Giorgio, 1700 meters, still gaining, good. Now probably will push again. Still gaining altitude. It means that there will be probably there is a cloud who is pulling up. You see, he gained more than 100 meters without thermaling, just pulling up under the cloud. Almost reached 1,800. Now he push and to go on.
So just coming up to an hour and a half into the race, and they're well over halfway now.
Yep.
So it's probably worth talking a little bit about the next leg as they cross over past Lecco City. They've only got a third of this leg to go, around the 20-25 kilometre mark.
Yep.
The turn point is near the mountain of Mont Saint Georges, and they're going to Saltrio.
Saltrio, yes, it's a little village. This place is really the border between Italy and Switzerland. So it's there is also a custom in this small village, and we choose that place because there is a mine just there, and we can get some good thermals around that area.
And what do they mine there? Is it the rock that they're looking
Rocks,
for?
yeah, rocks for buildings.
So a quarry,
Mm-hmm.
we would call it, yeah. So there's a view of the turn point.
You see, it's just over the mine. The mine is exactly in the center of the red circle.
Ah, yes.
Red cylinder.
Yeah, so an open cast quarry.
So now Giorgio is approaching Monte Bolletto. That is very close to the third turning point. Yeah, exactly. Altitude is perfect. Okay, he's pointing the pass, and probably after that he will turn a little bit left to follow the ridge until the end. That is just above Como city and Como lake. That is the Brunate. It's a place where there is a light for boat. It's on top of the mountain. It's strange because normally the lights for boat are on the sea or on the lake. In this case, due to the fact that the valley, the ridges are very complicated in shape, they put it on top of the mountain, so everybody in the lake can see during night where Como is.
That's just ruined my best joke, actually. In the UK, we have an expression for somebody who is about as useless as a lighthouse in the middle of a mountain.
Okay, so. But
So
in this case, it was the only chance.
Only chance indeed,
it worked.
Yeah. So Giorgio must have been listening to you because he's turned left and he's following the ridge line.
With the ridge. This mountain is very special because as you can see in the images, they are really exact like reality. You have trees below, and on top, the last 100 meters is just grass. And this is important because trees are getting energy from the sun, grass is getting less energy from the sun, and the thermals are starting. The main point is to understand why thermals are creating. It's because the difference in temperature of the ground between one kind of ground, for example, a wood or a forest, and grass or maybe a brown field and so on. And this difference, this border between different fields makes the possibility for the thermal to start. And this is what Giorgio is looking for.
He's certainly pushing on.
Yeah, 160 is good. And keeping the altitude. This is the main thing with a glider pilot, with this kind of glider, very high performance glider. If you can keep flying straight at not very high speed, but average speed, without losing altitude, the average speed on the task, it's increasing enormously in a huge way. So it's important. Look, he's flying from 5-6 kilometers, exactly the same altitude, and without losing time.
So he's busy extending his lead. Now we're just changing the view, looking at the chasing pack. In fact, the main pack has
they
stopped
just
to fly.
left Monte Cornizzolo. The mountain they have in front on the left side of the screen is Monte Bolletto. So Giorgio has increased his advantage at the moment because altitude is good for Giorgio. It's similar to the chasing group, but he is in front of 10 up to 15 kilometers probably.
Sebastian's just managed to eke out a little bit more height than Werner Arman. So that would put him in second place at the moment and Werner in third. Roman Mercek has just left along with Uli Schwenk. Roman with a good deal more altitude than Uli. So Roman probably in fourth position. Hopefully tomorrow we'll fix the total energy screen when we know that everybody's gone through the start line. That'll give us a better idea of roughly who's in the lead. And the chasing pack still climbing.
Yeah, we don't see Ricky Brigliadori anymore.
No, I wonder where Ricky's gone. He went a long way south, didn't he?
He's down there. He's still blocked down there. He had some trouble to climb. That's a pity because he was still in position to get the group. Now I don't think it's possible anymore because it's 5 minutes is blocked at that place, and that's not good.
I just briefly saw Tom Claffey having a
Giorgio
better day.
got a lot of altitude, see, more 1800 meter at the end of the ridge, and this means it's now time to leave, to cross the lake to the next mountain, then is Monte Bisbino.
So across Como Lake to Bisbino,
Yeah.
climb there, run into the turn.
Climb
point.
or maybe just pull below the clouds.
Yeah.
Keeps going straight on to the turning point because it's not so far away right now. It's less than 20 kilometers.
And then they come back across Como Lake to the turn point we see in the foreground
Yeah.
here. And then from there it's 35 kilometers.
Yeah.
to
From
get
there,
home.
I believe with this kind of altitude, probably, I don't want to say that for Giorgio is the last thermal, but maybe the next one is the last one.
Because when they come back, if they come back through this turn point and then back onto this ridge, they could follow the ridge.
Yep.
And with that, they should have enough altitude to get home.
Exactly. The main point now is to leave the ridge, cross the lake, reach the other mountain,
Come
keep
back.
altitude, do the turning point, and come back to the ridge as soon as possible, and then it's almost over.
Yeah, sounds like the advice I've always had for gliding. Yeah, fly fast, fly high. Yeah.
You see, he's never flying too much fast. He's flying 160, 170, which with these gliders it's not a high speed, it's an average speed that keep performance of the glider very nice. It means they fly 160, but they are almost at the maximum performance of the glider. And this helps a lot because you lose only few meters and you make a lot of kilometers.
That's it. 75, 80 knots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very comfortable. So Giorgio with a bit more altitude, Werner Arman having to go round the mountain. Sebastian with a bit more altitude, a bit further back.
Abadi and Ruch, they are together, they fly together, they are in good position. Didier is a little bit low. He need to climb together with with Lawrence Gudrian. Max, I think, is trying to get his friends, his French friends. Ecco, Brunate lighthouse is just below those gliders. You can see the lake, Como Lake, below. This is the Como Lake.
So now crossing
to Bisbino, yes.
Roman and Sebastian taking a more direct route.
Maybe they get a thermal here. It's a good spot sometime. Because it's the end of the mountain. It gets all the sun because it's looking to the sun. And so it's a good spot.
And she's got a great view. Armand turned a little bit left, and the others I thought were going to go right, and actually they've turned back to follow him. But 300 meters the difference in altitude. Giorgio off in the distance. He must have reached the other side by now.
Yep, he should be almost arrived. It's interesting, they are flying very well because they don't follow each other. They just fly one beside the other, and this allow to fly in two different air mass. That means you immediately see which one is gliding better, and if the other one gets a thermal. So this is the right way to fly with two gliders.
So we're just getting an overhead view now to give you an idea of where the
Giorgio has a good advantage.
And the others having to take a more southerly route.
Yeah. Now Giorgio took a decision which is particular. From Monte Bisbino, he didn't point directly to the turning point, but he went a little bit more north because probably he saw some very nice clouds on Generoso Mountain. That is the mountain that is approaching. This is Monte Bisbino. He's leaving Monte Bisbino. The mountain he has in front of him is Monte Generoso.
We're just changing the view so we can see that.
Exactly. This is the lowest part. The highest part is on the right. And it's a very good mountain.
So we think roughly they've got about, or Giorgio's got about 12 kilometers to run.
Yep.
Do you think he'll climb?
Yeah, this altitude, if he can get a good thermal, he will climb. And it will be probably the last thermal.
The others are struggling a little bit more to the south.
Yeah,
across
Roman
the
and
now.
Sebastian are in good position. Werner, it's not bad, but he has some difference. Giorgio probably got a thermal now because I see the altitude increasing very fast. And all the other are following. Max has got with Christophe Abadi and Christophe Ruch, Sebastian. Werner Raman is thermaling.
Yeah, it looks like he's on this side of the lake.
Yep.
Yeah. So from being
Giorgio
one
probably
of
is thermaling right now.
So Werner, from being one of the early leaders, just slipped back a little bit now.
Yeah. But with this level of pilots, which are the best pilots all around the world, you just make not a mistake. Just you are not enough concentrated, and immediately you get some seconds. And then when you lose some seconds to gain, it's difficult because the other pilots are very high level.
So Sebastian, being a bit more risk averse, is stopping and climbing on this side of Como Lake. Just coming up to 1900 meters, whereas Max and Roman have pushed on. Yep. Sebastian now just about to leave by the look of it.
Altitude is good. Altitude is absolutely okay.
perhaps we could take a look back to see where everybody else is. Yeah, they're starting to get a bit strung out now. Thilo's not having a great day. Looks like he's going on a sightseeing tour, actually.
Yeah.
He's going to go round Como Lake. Carlos Roca and Thomas Gostner pretty close together.
Yeah.
Ricky having a really tough time. And
You saw Ricky is passing through the flat.
Yeah.
He's flying in the flat.
And what about Kai Limburg up there?
Kai, I don't know. He probably had a trouble and is still in the mountains.
The main pack in the middle of our screen. Didier desperately trying to catch up and get some points on the board.
Yes. Okay, Giorgio, good position, 1700 meters. Thilo is very low. I don't know what he is doing there, but now it seems that he's climbing.
And we're just going to change to a view of Giorgio as he comes up to the second turn point. I see him 1700 meters.
Okay, he's reaching Monte San Giorgio. He's crossing the valley from Monte Generoso to Monte San Giorgio. And then he will overfly the turning point and point directly to Monte Bolletto again, to Brunate Lighthouse.
Yeah, and with 60 kilometers to run, do you think you'll just use the energy from the terrain, or do you think you'll need to take a climb?
For me, Giorgio has already the altitude to go straight on. Because 60 kilometers to go at 1800 meter, it's almost done. He cannot push too much because he needs to keep energy. But he's in very good position. And look, the follower, Roman and the other, they need the climb. But Giorgio is already at the right altitude.
Looking good. So once Giorgio's gone through the turn point here and going back towards Urbe, what sort of altitude would he need at Urbe to get home with 30k to run?
35k to home, I believe when he has 1300, 1200, it's already okay, but he cannot push. If he has more, he can push for the final. Yesterday, in reality, they were at 1600, but they pushed so hard that they arrived, some people arrived just a little bit too low.
Yes, and that affected the results quite dramatically.
Yeah, sure, dramatically, because the problem is that you get only a few seconds of penalty, but if you are in a pack with 5 glider in 5 seconds, for sure, 3 seconds of penalty, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, the results yesterday, the first 3 places were separated by 4 seconds.
Exactly.
It's virtually unheard of in glider racing.
It was a wonderful finish. One of the best finish I have ever seen in my life. It was very, very interesting. A bit stressful for me that I'm in charge of flight operation, but it was very nice looking.
Meanwhile, Giorgio's
2000. It's perfect. It's
just coming up 2,000 meters.
Gone.
He must be climbing there. Yeah, we're just losing a bit of data from him, but the pack behind have stopped to climb, and we're just going to go back and have a quick look.
So, I'm going to come in and talk about tactics for a moment, Sean, because I wonder, I've been watching this unfold, and I wonder if the pack behind, I wonder if these guys with Sebastian there, actually know that Giorgio's out in front. They'll probably just stay together now. They'll start to play cat and mouse, they'll start to get tactic, and they'll allow Giorgio to pull ahead more and more. Not that it matters, he's only got to finish by a second ahead, but he knows they're behind. They don't know he's in front, I think.
Yeah. It was when he went to the south, the others wouldn't have been able to see him.
What I would like to have is a small camera in the cockpit to see their faces when they're going to the turning point, to see Giorgio coming the other way. And they're going to get a surprise.
So how did he do that? They ought to be watching.
Yeah, they ought to have this internet. They ought to have a connection in the glider.
So Giorgio now just under 2,000 meters coming into the turn.
Yep.
The rest are all around the 1,500 meter mark, 15, 16, 1,700 meter mark. heading towards this second turn point.
Tom Cleffy seems to be flying well today.
He does.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad today.
Yeah, I spoke to him earlier about his day yesterday, and he said, "Yeah, well, draw a line under that, and we'll move on." Very pretty place to go flying.
So Giorgio is entering in the zone, I think, in the observation zone. Yeah, exactly. He's just pointing into the zone.
Just coming into it, and he'll turn left.
Yeah, he will turn left and point probably directly back to the ridge and then back to Monte Bolletto.
And perhaps if we can have an overhead shot, we'll see them go through the turn.
It's just approaching.
Yeah, there we go. That's great. Thanks, Benj.
It's great. It's done. Almost done.
So first through, they may well be able to see him now. He'll be high. Yeah.
Already turned out, so
he's turned.
He's back.
Second round will be Sebastian.
Yeah, he's crossing the others, but he has 400-meter advantage. With if we can imagine, we have around 2 meters per second average speed in climbing. 400 meters is 200 seconds, so he has around a 3 minutes advantage. And with these 3 minutes at the average speed they fly, it's around 10 kilometers.
Fantastic. Thanks for doing the sums. I couldn't have done it that quick. So Sebastian round, Werner Arman just about to go through.
But they are low. Now they need to climb.
Yeah. Uli going through, but good to see him there.
Christophe and
Maximilian, yeah. Rasmus,
well done.
Yeah. And Christophe Abadé.
Romain is approaching slowly, but I don't know what. But probably he's trying to get the altitude without thermaling, because he knows he's high enough, but he doesn't want to lose altitude. Didier is coming, and Tom Cleffy is okay. He's probably thermaling. It looks nice.
So Giorgio was 1,760 meters, with about 50 kilometers to run. Should make it.
You see, he's already starting pushing a little bit more, 170. He's pointing Monte Bisbino, that is the next mountain just in front of him. And then he will cross the lake again to Monte Bolletto.
Well, you can probably see Thomas Gostner there, who's climbing 1,200 meters. So we'll fly towards that thermal. He may not take it, but he'll just certainly take a pull-up in it.
Yep, probably yes. You see, now the advantage of Giorgio, from 400 meters, it becomes 500 meters on the others. So the tactic to stay high, just below the cloud base, paid a lot in this case.
Yep. I'm sure the others would want to do that, but are being egged on by each other, I guess.
And Giorgio, I can tell you, I flew with Giorgio many times. He is very, very accurate pilot in flying. And if he can fly without the stress of tactics or people following very close and so on, he is flying at the best possibility he has.
And the chasing pack, Sebastian and Werner Arman, are just choosing to take a climb there.
Yeah.
They need to get back the altitude to make their final glide. Meanwhile, Thomas is making his way from right to left, not having a great day. Uli in the mix there. Christophe Rouche coming in. Rasmus. All pretty close still.
Yep. They are climbing at the... This is not Monte Bisbino, it's just before. It's the lowest and the southern part of Monte Generoso. It's a good place for climbing.
Yeah, just looking at the climb rates, 2 to 3 meters here.
Yeah. Giorgio is in perfect position, or still 1,700 meters. I believe I have to leave you because I need to prepare the stuff for the landing. So
okay, thank you very much indeed, Giorgio, for your insight. That's been great.
Thank you, and see you tomorrow.
Indeed. So, a bit of a quick recap. Giorgio out in front, with probably enough altitude to make it home if he flies carefully. The chasing pack just getting back up onto glide. Uli climbing at 3 meters per second. Ricky Brigliadori also climbing at 2 meters, but we're not quite sure where he is. And Brian's back with us. What do you know, Brian?
Well, it's getting quite exciting for the second pack. I think this is a classic case of not knowing that somebody's got away from you, but they'll be happy because they've no need to catch Giorgio now. He's pretty much home and dry. Now they're looking at each other and trying to get in the points. It's quite a group here. We're going to see a really exciting finish again with this bunch of guys coming in together. And they are now trying to get in the right position to be at the front of the final glide. And I talked yesterday after they landed, and Sebastian thinks that his glider, the G29, the SG29, goes a little better at higher speed than the JS1 that Max is flying. And he thinks it's an advantage if they take extra height and they'll stay together, so they glide much faster. I don't know whether that's true, but it seemed to be work yesterday because he caught up a little bit on the glide. Mm-hmm. So if they're all waiting for each other to leave so that they stay together in the glide, that's in Sebastian's favour, I think.
Yeah. And we're just watching Giorgio, who went through the climb with Carlos and Rene Vidal, who unfortunately are still making their way to the second turn point. Giorgio took a little bit of altitude and he's now turned right to cross the shortest distance across the lake, and then run along the next spine down along to turn point 3, and then he's home from there.
Yeah, and I think they're really enjoying flying right through where the prohibited airspace was yesterday, which they had to go around.
It must have been a right pain to set a task to sort that out, and certainly to fly. This is the chasing gaggle. Werner Arman has decided to leave at 1,300 metres. Roman Mocek at 1,800 metres. Sebastian just below with Christophe Abadet, Uli in there, and nice to see Lawrence having a good day. Maximilian in there, TDA in the bottom of the group. Points go to the top 9 places.
Yeah, and so that first bunch will take most of the points. But what I'm surprised about is that Lawrence and Tom caught up really quickly, because when we were going into the first turn, they were history. Yeah. They were way out of there. They're way below, way behind. Something they did which we've missed because we've been focusing on the front group. They've caught up really quickly somewhere on that leg. I don't think that they're in the points, but maybe Tom might just be bottom half of the points, maybe. But certainly Lawrence is not likely to make it. Tom's not hanging around today. He's pushed on. He's 1,400 meters. And we can see that Sebastian's flying with Maximilian. That must make Maximilian feel really good that he's got Sebastian Carver following him for a few minutes in the day, and he's only a rookie. So I think he'd be feeling really pleased with himself right now.
It would make me feel good, must admit. So Giorgio Galetto not too far now from the turn point. Just changed to have a look. Just under 1,700 metres. That is reasonably comfortable for him now to get home from there.
Yeah, I think if he turns at more than 1,400 metres, he's home. If he turns at 1,600 metres, he's home quickly.
Yeah.
He's got 30 kilometres to go above the ground. He needs about 1,000 metres if he's going to go fast, and so that's 1,250 metres. So if he turns in that sector at 1,400, which is he'll probably be about 1,450 looking at it, then he's going to be able to come home quite quickly. And I think the others are not far off having a good glide as well. It's a shame for Werner Ammann. He was flying so well, he was up there, and now he's just dropped back a little bit. And he's got to find from somewhere another 200 or 300 meters, and that's going to lose him 2 or 3 minutes, and that's going to allow the pack that he was with to get ahead of him. And he's going to be a little bit annoyed with himself there because he was so close to being right out there at the front. The thing about sailplane racing is as you get nearer the end, the options to catch up get less and less.
Yes. Yeah.
And just like being in any other race, you want to be near the front at the end.
So Werner Arman on the right-hand side, lower, trying to climb. Meanwhile, this pack at 1,700 metres, nearly 1,800 metres, pushing across Como Lake now. They're going to hit the top of this ridge and be above it, be able to run along it as Giorgio did, go through the turn and round, while poor old Werner Armand's going to be carrying on climbing.
Yeah, but if they don't get energy here, they're going to be just a bit tight. They're 1,500 meters. They're going to need another couple of hundred meters to get to the turn point. They need to pick up some energy as they run along this mountain. So they need to leave the other end of the mountain at around about 1,500 meters. If they can do that, they're home. Look at Giorgio. He's coming into the turning point now, and he's 1,500 meters. He's going to turn perfectly at 1,450, and that gives him a really nice glide back. Forza Giorgio. A marine will be down there in the hangar watching this and going absolutely beside herself with excitement.
So Giorgio through the turn point, making an unusual decision. Rather than to turn right towards the finish, he's actually coming back towards the hill.
Yeah.
So he wants to make it really safe and use the energy on the hill to come home.
If he's making that decision, he must have a good reason. Yeah, well, it looks, the line takes him over the edge of the hill. So he's decided to take a nice, safe route, run along the hill coming back. Now the others will see him again, and they'll realize that they're not going to win. He's going to be the winner today, almost certainly, unless something incredible happens. And they might as well just worry about getting in the points between them. Is that Didier in there? But he's a bit low, isn't he?
Didier is, unfortunately, he's crossing Como Lake now, but he's not going to have enough altitude to get over the ridge there. He's going to have to climb on the face, as Armand did.
Yeah, and Werner's now got the altitude he needs to leave. He's actually climbed up quite well there, and there might well be a little bit of cumulus to help him, and it could be he'll be back with Sebastian and Maximilian fairly soon. If they keep running, they're going to make this turn at 1,350 meters, 1,300 meters, and that's going to be just a little bit tight. They're going to not be able to really fly very fast on that last leg, so the pilots just a bit behind and a bit higher are going to catch them up. This is a very exciting moment for Giorgio, because now he's going to see them come in again, and he's going to feel pretty good. He can fly slowly now. He can be sure. He doesn't have to push. He just wants to be sure to come home.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time. Time doesn't matter. He just needs to be 1 second in front.
You just got to get home first.
The other group seem to be pushing each other along a bit. And see you, Brian. Brian's off to check what happens at the finish. We're a little bit time delayed here, 5 minutes behind. So Giorgio will be well on his way to the finish. Meanwhile, the chasing pack are leaving the hill, going to the turn points, but they're a good 200 or 300 meters below Giorgio when he went through, so they're going to have to do a little bit more work to get back and cross the finish line. From this turn point back to the finish is 30 kilometers. Sorry, just over that, 35 kilometers. They go through a checkpoint, which is pretty much in a straight line. The reason for it is to, using the checkpoint, is to bring people back in line to the airfield, because they may come a little bit of a strange route coming from the north from the hills. So Christophe Abadé, second to turn, followed by Roman Merschek, Maximilian and Sebastian. And then another group just behind them, headed up by Uli Schwenk. Christoph Rusch and Werner Armand. Then we've got Lawrence and Didier. And Peter Panic, who's been around for a little bit. He was a little further up yesterday, finished in the points. This is his second sailplane Grand Prix final. He was in Sistrom. Told me then he was there on a learning exercise. Managed to score 1 point on the last day. Very pleased with himself. So back to Giorgio. We're just going to get a block up with his speed so we can see what's going on. 1,400 meters, quite comfortable now. There we go. We've got it's just slowing down in the lift, pushing in the sink, making his way to the finish line. At the top of the screen you can see the finish line, and just beforehand is this circle which we're using as a checkpoint. It's actually over the top of the hospital in Varese City, and it just straightens the gliders up so they come in across the line perpendicular. We've got a great view coming of the chasing pack. Christophe Abadé a little lower than Sebastian, but they're all flying pretty quick now, 190, nearly 200 kilometers an hour. They're all pushing each other along. They know by now that Giorgio's out in front, so they're fighting for second place. Just to recap on the points situation, you get 10 points for first place, 8 points for second, 7 points for third, right down to 9th place, which gives you 1 point. So top 9 score points. The rest, it's a big fat 0. They're all pushing pretty hard here. They must be quite confident that they're going to get home from here. Meanwhile, just going to have a quick look back at Giorgio. Not far to go now. He's flying 190 kilometers an hour. Working on the principle that there's no major lift or no major sink on the way. He's comfortable at that slot. There's a nice view. Flying very, very accurately. Fantastic scenery. As he comes up to, just behind him there's Lake Como, and he'll be looking ahead and seeing Varese City. Talking to some of the pilots, they were a little bit low as they came over the top of the city. The city's a couple of 100 meters higher than we are here at the airfield, and we didn't think that was going to be a big problem, except they've decided to put some big cranes up, building Giorgio now just slowing down a little in the lift and then speeding up again in the sink. Just changing the view so we can see the chasing group and the relative distance. So on the left-hand side is the checkpoint. You can see Giorgio in the middle of our screen and the chasing pack behind. I just wondered if we can change the labels so we've got altitude. Should be quite useful. There we go. So Giorgio just over 1,000 meters. The chasing pack are 1,000 meters or a little lower. So that could be a little bit squeaky when we get to the finish. They've been pushing each other along. And we've got another great view coming up now. You can see the relative heights. You see they're using the terrain there, trying to stay over the middle of the spine of the hills underneath. Can't see the clouds obviously, but it looks like if there are any clouds they'll be running along this little line of hills. Then they've got to cross a valley, and then the ground rises again as you come into Varese. Tom Claffey pushing it very low, and there's a great view coming into the finish. Looks like Giorgio's just getting a little closer to the turn point, so at the checkpoint. The checkpoint's 5.5 kilometers to the airfield, and Giorgio needs to be 100 meters above the airfield. Then the altitudes we're showing here are above sea, and the airfield's a couple of 100 meters above the sea. So we'll be looking for 350 meters on his altimeter to be sure he doesn't get any points. Well, the points in this case are, the deduction is actually in time. And I think it's 4 seconds per metre. 4 or 5, we think. We'll check that for tomorrow. So Giorgio with quite a commanding lead. And then a very tight pack behind with varying altitudes. And we can see now, just coming up, a very good picture of Varese city as Giorgio comfortably above the city and the cranes. Through the checkpoint, he doesn't need to turn at all. It'll be pretty much straight to the airfield from here. You see the chasing pack behind. Giorgio comfortable at 600 metres, where the chasing pack are between 400 and 800 metres. Christophe Abadé just having a fantastic pull up there. It went from 400 metres to 580 metres. He needs to do a few more of those. Roman Mircek leading the chasing group. We'll switch back in a little while to see Giorgio crossing the finish line. He's 500 metres, very comfortable. We'll just see these guys. Roman Mircek, a couple of 100 metres above Christophe Abadé, and behind that is Sebastian, Max, Didier. Just trying to see the labels there. Maximilian's in there. It's going to be very tight indeed. So we're just going to go back to see Giorgio cross through the line. Perhaps we can have an overhead. We'll see him cross through. Yep, there he is. There's a great view. There's the airfield underneath. And our winner today, hopefully no penalty points, is Giorgio Galetto from Italy. Fantastic. Well done, Giorgio. And now it's all about the chasing pack. Who's going to share the points here? For first place, just to recap, is 10 points, and in second place is 8 points. And there's a fantastic view with Roman Mircek pushing hard now out in front. We could probably change the labels to speed just to make you work really hard, Benji. And we'll see how fast they're flying. You see the high ground that they're following here, using the last little bit of energy there. Uli just pulling up, flying 185 kph. Roman Mircek slowing down now, concentrating on maintaining as much of his height as he can. In fact, now he's pushing really hard. He must be in the sink. Or having worked out that he's got enough altitude to maintain 100 meters above the finish line height. Roman well in second place now. Just going through the checkpoint over the top of Varese Hospital. Very, very tight behind. I think in third place I saw Christophe Abadé. Christophe Rouche in fourth. Not much between Uli and Sebastian for fifth. And Maximilian's not a million miles away either. And Brian's just coming back in. This chasing pack very, very close together now. Brian just dropping back in the handwritten results there. Of course, we're following this 5 minutes behind, so it's going to be a bit like a prize giving, and I'm not going to open the envelope until we get right up close. But we've had very consistent tracking data today, so I'm happy to call it on what we see in front of us. Giorgio, having been through the line, we'll need to change to altitude view just to make sure that they're going to be comfortable here. Roman flying pretty quick, pulling up a little now, just to make sure that he maintains that altitude. And we reckon between 350 and 300 meters he should be safe. And there he is, absolutely on the money. Just coming up close to the finish line. Just changing the view. And there's a fantastic picture of how close the airfield is to the lake. In fact, as you go off the end of the runway on your aerotow, you go over a short line of trees, and then the next thing you see is the water. So Roman Moshek in second place, and closely followed by the chasing pack. Christophe Abadet from France. Again, not a mountain pilot that you would know, but done very well today. He's doing really well here. And in third place, and it looks like Christophe Rouche in fourth, and Sebastian in fifth, Maximilian in sixth, Uli up there as well in seventh. So close. Seconds apart. There's the airfield. Just change the view again for you. And there they all stream through the line. So Uli and Werner Arman, who was doing so well earlier, a little bit low. And Didier House pushing really hard too. But may have an altitude penalty there. So there we go. The fantastic race. Really, really close. Hope you've enjoyed it. Really glad that the tracking worked very well today. And we hope you join us later. We have the live prize giving at 6 o'clock local time, in real time. So if you're in the UK, that's 5 o'clock. And you know where you are in your time zones, the rest of the world. Rasmus just outside of the points, and we'll come back when we know a little more. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow if you don't see us for the prize giving. We'll start broadcasting from 1:30 with the grid walk, and a bit of a catch up on what happened today when we talk live to the pilots, and then live commentary from the start of the race. So from the team here, thank you very much.